I'm delighted to be here today. I know Alan was a bit worried about the amount of content I had on my slides, so don't worry, Alan. What I lack in intelligence, I'll make up for in speed. I was also glad to see on the Twitter feed, and with things like what Belinda said, that a lot of people are posting up comments about that ultimately it's about quality of hire and the productivity you get from the person that you invest in from your recruitment process, your training and your salary. And the heart of our business is really about that. We do things about process efficiency, helping sourcing, resourcing, recruiting to take out process cost and to improve your time to hire and efficiencies in your screening. But the end game for us is the return on investment that you get once you take someone on and how long they stay and how well they perform in your business. So let me show you what we do and hopefully give you a few ideas and share a few insights. And we'd be delighted to talk to you over the course of the morning if you wish. So I'd be surprised if anybody in the room really can say yes to this question, because if you're the kind of person who buys JCBs, I'd say you're not here. Okay, but you're not allowed to buy big yellow earth-moving equipment without having some reason. I think one of these things costs maybe £250,000. Very expensive things. People in talent and recruitment and HR are not allowed to buy very expensive things like this. But have you met my two ex-colleagues? You buy hundreds and thousands and thousands and thousands and millions of these people every year. And believe me, they cost a lot more than those diggers. They're much more difficult to drive. It's also illegal to be on top of them, especially during the recruitment process. And they're much more difficult to deal with when they go wrong than that digger. Okay? So I think you can see where we're going to with this, is that there needs to be a balance around the synchronicity between the quality of who you hire and how you make that investment into the future and the process that you undertake to source, screen, and take those people on. And our company is really only about one thing. It's about maximizing, in a cost-efficient way, that green domain you see in the top right. Good people hired in a cost-efficient way that stay longer. So high performance and good tenure. And we know you can't keep all the good people all of the time. That would be kind of unfair. I know that some of your companies think you can, but really at the end of the day, what you're doing is a battle for inches around the margins in that green domain to grow it and grow it and grow it and to reduce that red element. What we do on a practical basis as Qt in our talent solutions company is that we have integrated screening and assessment solutions that cover across online psychometric and competency-based assessment systems, a full suite of technical knowledge and customizable skills assessments, and an online automated video interviewing system that can be all run through a single hub and integrated with an applicant tracking system, a talent management system, a candidate management system, or a learning management system. So you can choose which element has most formidable impact in terms of your process efficiency in sourcing, screening, or in guiding final decision making at selecting in. So you're able to control in which order you organise which element to gather the information you need in an automated self-service way from your candidates, which can make you a lot more productive as a source or resourcer. Or if your agenda is around quality of hire in talent acquisition, talent management, you're able to control some of the metrics that link around productivity and management of risk at interview. So we operate that large technological platform, assess about 7 million candidates a year, over 100 countries, 38 languages, Asian, European, and Arabic. And then we have a team of about 200 people who are made up of a mix of information technology people, business analysts, occupational psychologists, who support all, through our team of 200 in 23 offices around the world, support our projects on the ground as well as across the web. As is customary for all owners of consultancy companies, I show you the customary slide of the brands. It's the same slide as everybody has, I suppose. but it is a fait accompli, you will see it. So we tend to work with lots of different kind of companies, but generally they're kind of big ones that try and use a lot of technology to run direct sourcing models or have sophisticated talent management agendas. Or else they're smaller companies who need to try and grow fast and reach a lot of people in an efficient way. But generally they tend to be sophisticated companies, or ones who at least want to be sophisticated, who will use our type of methodologies and practices. Before I came today, I asked some of our consultants, and business analysts and psychologists, can you tell me some interesting things that you think we did in 2012 that I should tell these nice people in London today? And like, this makes me a bit worried about our own staff, but I'll show you 2 quick things they thought were interesting before I tell you what I think was interesting. One of our fantastic consultants from Britain, Howard Grosvenor, who's our psychometrics director, who loves cars, said, this was really important. We sponsored a racing team in Monaco because we also assess things around their drivers to see which people tend to be more reliable. And we also have looked at which drivers tend to be less likely to crash, easier to train with car companies. It was just an interesting side project, but the main agenda really was getting these logos on this racing car. So that was very important. Has anyone read this book? Yeah, we have loads of consultants who love this. This is a bit like Girl with Dragon Tattoo. It was on the bestsellers list in the UK. We knew we'd made it when the guy who wrote the book, the main character, who's a bit of a psychopath, said he was rattled. This was not the interview, the normal interview. I was hoping he would say this was cute, but in fact he said this was not cute. But we take that as an acknowledgement that our way of doing things is definitely entering the common parlance if people like Joan Nesbo are writing about us in their books. This is what I think is interesting, is we're the first company in the world that has full validated psychometric assessment systems that are regulated by organisations such as British Psychological Society, European Federation of Psychology, Den Norsk Veritas, and all those regulatory bodies from our psychology industry, to create a platform that allows us to run all the psychometric tooling in an integrated manner with an automated video interviewing system with scoreable criteria and same kind of shareable, supposed to replace telephone interviewing. And also we have a large suite of skills and language tests, about 200 standard tests that measure things across IT, health, law, accounting, and then lots of a custom questionnaire builder that allows us to measure lots of specific things around maybe aviation or engineering or oil and gas. We're able to allow you to decide on which way you use them, organize them through our assessment hub, and then you can deploy them through any applicant tracking system that you want. And we know that we're the only company to have reached that point this quick, and to have given the flexibility to recruiters and assessors to be able to choose in which way they orchestrate and use these types of technology. So generally you can measure whatever you want in a way that's automated and self-service, in a way that you're actually able to operate self-sustainably and not at the behest of our consultancy organisation, but rather supported to deliver your direct sourcing or talent acquisition agenda. And you can configure it so that it's fit for purpose for certain roles, because it's different hiring maybe an IT specialist that you need to know CV, tech interview, video interview for maybe, not psychometrics, than it is if it's a salesperson or a business developer, where maybe psychometric and behaviour and aptitude elements might be more or less important than the content knowledge at the beginning. So it's up to you. You can configure it. We can show you how, but you can decide. You're not being restricted by us as some gatekeeper about what to do. You're in control of how to deploy this in your ATS. So just in case some of you have not been exposed to some of these assessment models, it's just to give you some visual imagery, and you can talk to any of us at our stand outside in the lobby area. But I think we deliver things that are like psychometric assessments. That's a numerical analysis test. Anybody who's been a graduate has probably been tortured by one of these at some stage when they tried to apply to a big organisation. We have situational judgment tools. These are very good at reducing adverse impact, improving diversity, and also being very good at measuring things around values and behaviours in early stage recruitment, in unsupervised testing. I think a lot of you use these types of things now. We build these. This is an example of an Excel test online. So we can assess anything to do with Microsoft or Java or PHP or SQL or .NET or any form of acronym you can come up with, we can test it. But this replicates a whole Excel or Microsoft environment, and you can test people's skills on that. It's huge business for us across Asia, where a lot of these fundamental skills are critical in people delivering. I think where Belinda had mentioned things like crowd-type jobs, there's lots of skills in this domain that we measure. We build this for Dubai Airport. It's all around people learning, being assessed on knowledge they need to know to functionally be able to do their job. So it's actually all based around organizational specific or job specific knowledge. So it's things you should know or have learned. So it can be used for compliance or assessment to make sure someone's fit for purpose to even go to an interview or do their job. So again, we've broadened out from beyond the psychometric and into the learned and acquired knowledge. What we've also done with our clients who tend to interview a lot of people over telephone or move themselves around the world to do event-based interviewing, like for example here with an airline like Etihad, we have automated video interviewing systems that are also connected to our integrated platform, where you can structure and organize a technical interview, a language interview, a competency-based interview to run alongside that, and then you can view the candidate in the back end and assign ratings and present interview notes. We've placed a lot of emphasis around the legal defensibility around the video interviewing platforms to make sure that actually the data is collected and organised in a way that's compliant if it's ever challenged under any European Union jurisdiction. So in the end of the day, our whole business case is based around things of high validity, up that vertical axis, so it measures accurately what it purports to measure in a way that's predictive of job performance or interview to hire ratio or value in bringing further on in the process, and tends to be left on that cost axis on the horizontal, usually which means it can be delivered across the web. So we know that giving people trials, assessment centres, face-to-face interviews are good. They're costly, but they help you really make decisions. What we're all about is looking at how you can take the best of what's available. We build the proprietary content, the technology, and allow you to deliver it across the web in a user-friendly, candidate-friendly manner. So if you ever get some occupational psychologist and they tell you they do 3 things for you in our business, they're lying. We only do 2 things. It's not a very glamorous job at all. We're either doing something to improve your process efficiency, which I know an awful lot of you have a big agenda around because you're sourcers, resourcers. So being able to find and assess and screen and organise more candidates out in the ether, out in the talent pool, and getting the right ones through fast with lower interview to hire ratios, better process efficiency, lower cost of acquisition. But in the end of the day, as we all know from our favourite man from Essex, Alan Sugar, you don't want to hire people who get fired. You want to hire people who stay and are good. So what we really do with our own validation studies is we look at what's likely to lead to people being trainable, high performers, movable, mobile, achieving their jobs and delivering on the targets you set them at the point of hire. And that's really critical when you're talking about making expensive decisions on selecting in, or when you're choosing between a final shortlist of candidates and trying to manage risk and make a final decision. Just to give testimony to our science, if you take, we've got 4 examples up there, but maybe I'll just speak to 2. Dell are going through a huge transformation at the moment. They're moving from being a hardware, kind of a simple product company, into a big consulting, advisory, software, web-based service. They have taken themselves off the stock market. They're in private hands now. But they'll still hire 2,000 external sales and technical consulting people in Europe this year, and they'll move 4,000 people from within the company into new roles for the cloud-based services company. We've built a system with them, and over the last 18 months have got people who fit against 5 core behavioural areas that are validated against revenue generation and profit generation to be used in the screening and final stage advisory interview when you actually hire people in. And new hires under this model are currently generating 36% more revenue and 42% more profit than the weaker people who were employed under the historical model that did not use a validated model around which behaviours were linked to worker productivity. That is not about screening out. That is about when about 20,000 people come to final stage of assessment within Dell across Europe, that 160 talent acquisition people who support the process are able to argue very strongly around where there's areas of risk or misalignment and make sure that line managers are hiring based on what's valid and links to this economic model. This process is led by the talent people. It is led by HR. It is transforming the way Dell deliver talent into the organisation and mobilise it in the 2,000 new hires and the 4,000 internal moves. And it's meant that the HR and the talent people are transforming what happens on the revenue side rather than just being given a task and asked to do it. The bottom one, I think, is a nice example because it speaks more to process efficiency. Using a simple situational judgment questionnaire and a simple verbal understanding instruction test, with EasyJet, the airline, who they hire loads of cabin crew every year. It's about 2,500, 3,000. Depends how many planes they buy. But at the beginning of the year, in this period, in the kind of winter into spring, early summer, there's a huge ramp up in hiring because they've got to train a load of people to then work in the planes. We've been able to use those 2 simple psychometric tools to improve their interview to hire ratio in a way that has reduced the number of interviews they have to do by 40%. They have to do 6,000 less interviews in each hiring cycle. And an interview to them, because of the movement, actually can cost over €100 in the way they deliver the interview. They also are found that the people they hire under our model are also 30% more likely to be promotable as cabin crew, cabin managers. And that's a critical thing to feeding their succession and their development internally, which again creates a way better return on investment on the training and has a massive implication for reducing talent acquisition costs and screening costs. And we know that we're able to fulfill both masters there by smart use of their application tracking technology systems and our types of tools. EasyJet are benefiting by process efficiency and productivity in the hire. The resourcers and sourcers are getting what they want, the managers are getting what they want, and the people who run the talent quality aspect are getting what they want. And the same is true in all these agendas. There's a process efficiency and a productivity gain. So in the end of the day, that we know that you go through lots of ways of making pools and lots of ways of sourcing. But what we've been able to do is to create a hub that hooks up with your applicant tracking systems, that allows you to use the tools, that allow you to do the screening in the way that you want and serve whatever master it is, whether it's speed and efficiency and you want to reduce process cost, and that helps you make the argument for a direct sourcing model, or if you're an RPO to deliver a brilliant service to your corporate client, or if your agenda is about the quality of what they do and the productivity post-hire, be it sales, retention, ability to train own staff, you're able to deliver both methodologies through our platform integrated with your ATS. Thank you for your time. I hope that was fast enough, Alan. And enjoy your lunch. Maybe see you outside.